everyone, so I'm here to do my birth story. As you guys can see, I'm no longer pregnant anymore. I actually sat down, I think, the day after I gave birth and I recorded my birth story, but I was so disoriented and tired and delirious that I also kind of didn't know the timing of events and the series of events, so I actually sat down and I edited the video, but once I sat down and I listened to it, it was just like a hot mess, and now I kind of know the events a little bit better, so I felt like it would be easier for me to just sit down and do it again. So here I am. It's Tuesday, August 7th, I believe. I am 1 week and 1 day postpartum. Kind of crazy that it happened a week ago already. So let's just dive in and talk about how my labor started, how the birth went, and all that good stuff. So like I mentioned in my previous pregnancy vlogs, I was basically having contractions for weeks. And I feel like they kind of got intense. They started getting a little bit stronger at 34 weeks. And then probably the last week, there were moments where I felt like, oh my gosh, maybe something's happening. But then it would fizzle out and I'm like, all right, false alarm. And at this point, because I've never been overdue, it was completely new territory for me. And I know people go to like 41 weeks and 42 weeks, but it was making me a little bit nervous being overdue because all my kids always came before 40 weeks. They came in the 39th week and I was so sure that this baby was going to come earlier or, you know, around that same time. But at this point, I was kind of trying to do everything to induce labor, and we all know that you can't really do anything unless your body's ready. Now, looking back, the reason I was having on and off contractions was, as I mentioned, I believe in my last pregnancy vlog, was that she had her hand by her face. Thursday, July 26th, my friend gave me an herb called Kizandra. I'm not sure of the spelling, but I'll put a picture of it here. She told me it's an herb that when your body's ready, it can help kickstart labor. She swore it brought her into labor, and she said she had 2 other friends who also, like, labor started for them. So I was like, all right, you know what, I'm doing red raspberry leaf tea, I'm doing essential oils, clary sage and jasmine, I was doing homeopathic stuff. There was so much stuff that I was doing every single day. I asked my midwives, they said it was safe, you know, so I started taking that. That was Thursday. Friday, I had a friend come over to go swim in the pool. We went swimming. This herb, I was supposed to take it like every 4 hours or something like that. I don't remember the dosage, but so I was taking it Thursday and I was taking it Friday. I don't know if it really actually did anything, but you know, just telling you how it is. Friday, I started having contractions and I went to the pool with my friend. You know, I'm like, you know, maybe I'm just gonna go because I've been having lots of like contractions and then they fizzle out, so I'm not even taking it seriously. We went in the pool and we were talking a lot, and when we got in the pool, I was still having contractions, but they were a little bit more milder in the water. And once I got out of the pool, they started happening again. And then when my husband came home, they fizzled out again. I was like, all right. We ended up going to the mall to eat at a restaurant, and after that, because the restaurant was in the mall, after that, there's a video of me doing this, I'll probably insert it here. I was going up and down the stairs trying to induce labor too. So fast forward to Saturday, July 28th, we wake up at around 11. Start having those same contractions, and they're going and going, and I'm like, you know, this is probably a repeated Friday, not taking it seriously, we're just gonna go with our day. And we had a birthday party to go to, so we went to this birthday party, and on the way to the birthday party, I was like, you know, these contractions are not stopping. I'm like, let me just, for fun, start timing them. So I started timing them at 2 p.m. I went to my friend's birthday party in the pool, and I was timing the contractions. I was like in the pool too, and my friend's like, are you having contractions? And I'm like, yeah, but you know, whatever. I've been having them like nonstop. I really didn't think anything of it. After the birthday party, we had to go food shopping, and at this point I was still timing the contractions and they were not stopping. And they were timing, basically they started out 10 minutes apart, 8 minutes apart, 6 minutes apart, and then throughout the day they were basically varying between 2 to 8 minutes apart. At one point, I did message my midwives and I kind of told them what was going on, and they said they anticipate that once I put the kids to sleep, things might pick up and to keep them posted. So I continued food shopping, continued timing my contractions. We got home really late, probably around like 8:30 or 9. I started doing dinner late. And while I was doing dinner, my contractions started going every 2 to 4 minutes apart. So I bathed the kids, which was interesting because what I usually do is I take a shower, I get in the bath, and the kids get in the bath with me, and then I bathe them. When I got into the water of the bathtub, my contractions started going 6 minutes, every 6 minutes instead of every 2 to 4. I bathed them, I put them to sleep, and it was around midnight because we just had a really late evening that day. And as I put them to sleep, I start messaging my midwives. I'm like, all right, well, it's been like the last 3 hours, it's been every 2 to 4 minutes apart, but I'm like really scared it's just gonna fizzle out. I don't want to, you know. And I was talking to them, and they're like, and I guess another new territory for me thing was that my water always usually breaks first and then labor starts. So the fact that my water was intact, I'm like, obviously nothing's happening, you know, this is just Braxton Hicks again. And they were telling me that water doesn't have to necessarily break. They're like, let us know if you feel like you need us to come. They're like, we actually want to make it to your birth. And she's like, sometimes the water breaks when you're like 8 or 9 centimeters, so don't wait until your water breaks to let us know what's going on. So I think we decided at that point, because it was midnight, that in about an hour I would message them and we would reassess where I'm at. And at this point, I was still kind of in denial. Like, I didn't really think labor was happening. I didn't want anybody to haul over because I was supposed to have 2 friends come over and 2 midwives. One midwife lives an hour away, one friend lives an hour away, and I just didn't want people to come over and then nothing happened. So I started to clean because just in case people were gonna come over, I started to like clean. I was on all fours. I was like wiping crumbs. I was doing random stuff, and it started taking me a little bit longer because I actually had to pause and breathe through contractions at this point. So I wanted to finish cleaning before I like reach out to them again, because things were basically the same. Nothing got more like intense or nothing slowed down. It was still just 2 to 4 minutes apart. Hi, baby. So at 1:30, my one midwife messages me herself and asks me how I'm doing. She said she can't sleep because she thought I was in labor. And I tell her what's going on, and she's like, well, I think you're in labor. And she says, if you're afraid that everybody's gonna like come over and it's gonna make you nervous, she's like, say it how it is. But if you're just honestly worried about us coming over because it's possibly a false alarm, she's like, you shouldn't. Sometimes it takes longer, it's okay. And that's what I was, I'm like, if it is labor, it might take a while, and I didn't want everybody calling over until like I was sure. I don't know. I was worried about weird things. But after talking to her, it was around 1:30 or 2. We decided, I was like, can you give me like until 3? I'm like, I'm just like trying to finish cleaning. And she's like, okay. So at 3, we talked again, and I told her I was still the same, 2 to 4 minutes apart. And she's like, all right, she's like, I'm gonna head your way. My other friend Larissa was, she took a nap. So it was perfect. She was kind of talking to me, and she was waiting. She really wanted to come. She insisted on coming. She said even if it's a false alarm, she's totally okay with that. She wants to come. And once I told her that Ashley, my midwife, was coming, she's like, all right, I'm coming too. So they both started heading this way, and I think they got here around 4. Both of them around the same time. I think Ashley came first, and then Larissa came shortly after. Ashley said she was just going to see how everything is, and if she needed to leave, she would leave. She came, and she's like my friend who is also like a student midwife, so she was under the main midwife, Mercy. So she calls Mercy, and she kind of, I guess they wanted to make sure I wasn't like ready to push a baby out. But Mercy decided that she was going to head over as well. I don't remember the timing of things, but I do know that all 3 of them were there, and the only other friend that was missing was Taryn, and she has smaller kids, and I wanted her to like rest some, and I know she was really worried about leaving her baby at night. She was considering like bringing him, so I thought I was kind of just waiting to see how it goes because nothing really was happening, so I let her sleep. Once my 2 midwives and Larissa were here, my midwives told me to go rest, to go sleep. And I was like, how am I supposed to sleep if I'm having contractions every 2 to 4 minutes? And they said, between the contractions, just try. My husband and I go lay down because my husband was also worried about like not getting enough sleep and then labor happening and all that stuff. And our kids have been asleep already for 5 hours since 12. So we lay down, and I don't time my contractions because obviously if I'd be timing them, I wouldn't be resting. But I did notice that my contractions probably got less close together, but way more stronger once I did lay down. And I feel like if I wasn't having contractions, I would have fallen asleep because I did start to like rest in between contractions, as weird as that sounds. And I think after an hour and 15 minutes, I got pretty vocal because it was getting really painful, and the kids started tossing and turning in their bed since we all sleep together. So I got out of the room and I head over to the living room, and I told them that they're not as close together. They slowed down, but they're a lot stronger, and they're like, good, that's exactly what we wanted. So we hung out there for a little bit. It was probably around like 6:30, 6:15, I don't remember. And I started getting a little bit more vocal. I think around 8, I think. They were like, let's start getting the pool set up just in case. So at this point, I go and I wake up my husband. So I told him to get up, get his coffee going. He's going nuts. That's a whole separate story. We got this pool set up, and I told my friend Taryn to come. My contractions started getting really, really painful, and I was feeling it like in my back. This was different than contractions I felt with my daughter. And I started considering whether or not I wanted a chiropractor to come to my birth, and I did decide that, and I messaged her. I believe she arrived at 9. So she came and she started adjusting me, and after having an appointment with her after I gave birth, she told me that she felt in my sacrum that basically contractions are supposed to go like perfect circle like this and contracting, and she felt that one side was doing great, but my left side was trying to like, was kind of either stuck or like struggling or going over. I don't exactly remember the wording. It was suspected is because she had her hand there and possibly her head was tilted. It was both of those, and that is why I had that left pelvis pain and why my contractions were a lot more painful. So she started having me doing lots of different exercises. I had my arms on the floor and knees on the couch during contractions. Then she told me to do lunges. So basically they were trying to move the hand away, and then they were trying to get her head to drop. And I think at one point she did say that I had a little bit of relief in my back, and that's when she moved her hand. And I started doing these lunges, which were the most painful things ever. Like, contractions were bad, but doing this during contractions is even worse. So I had to do 3 lunges on each leg during a contraction. It was awful. After that, she did say that she felt the head drop because I felt more pressure. It did seem she moved her hand away, and once her head was engaged, she couldn't put it back by her head, but she was able to put it still like by her chin. So that's why I still continued to have back pain even after she left. So I got into the pool around 11:30. It was really bad. My friends were, I got really vocal now, even more. My husband said it was like new voices, new sounds coming out of me. Last time I was a bear. This time I was like a robot or a dinosaur. It was just, it felt like my bones were breaking. Like, my birth with my daughter last time was so much easier and simpler. Like, the last hour and a half was intense, but I didn't have this like back pain, and it was because of her hand and her head being a little bit tilted to the left. So I was in the birth pool for about almost 2 hours because I got in there at 11:30 and I had her at 1:17. At one point, I guess my vocals kind of indicated that I was trying to push. I don't remember how many pushes or anything like that. I'm not exactly sure. That's something I want to ask my midwives at my next appointment. But my friends were hip squeezing me. There was cameras everywhere. We had like 3 or 4 cameras, including GoPro, underwater filming. I think once she actually came down and I was actually pushing, she came out fairly quickly because her head came out, and in that footage you can see her head comes out and then her hand comes out. So seeing that, her hand was like this. So basically it was her, I'm trying to see, it was her right hand, but it was on her left side, and because of that her head was a little bit tilted, and that's why I was having on and off contractions for so long. My body was trying to go into labor and trying to move that hand away, and that's why my labor was so much more painful than it was. Backtracking a little bit, my kids ended up waking up I think at 9:30, and they did so well. They did so well. I was so afraid that they were going to be like a little bit scared of the noises I was making, but they were so good. My son kept saying that Mom was a hippo, I guess because I was in the water and I was I don't know, but they did so well. They were around me, and I mean I look back on the footage and it was pretty scary sounds that I was making. I was really surprised they weren't upset. Anyway, so once she started coming out, her hand came out, she came out, I was basically in the pool on my knees and my arms on the side of the pool, and then my midwife, one of my midwives, directed her so she would come under me. I grabbed her. My friend kind of helped me, so that was like I think it was midwife, my friend, me. I'm not exactly sure of the order of it. And we didn't even know who like was, I guess, catching, as they say. I feel like that's such a strange word when it comes to birth because it feels like you're catching fish or something. Oh, what a great catch. Anyway, so I started wailing. Whew. Every time I talk about this, I start crying. I start wailing, crying so loud. It's almost embarrassing, but every time I tell this part, I get teary-eyed because I remember it was like, first of all, it was a moment of relief that she was finally here, and a moment of disbelief that she was here and she was, you know, perfect and healthy. So I took her and I started just crying out so loudly. Oh goodness gracious. Every time I get to this part, whether I see it or I tell it, I just get teary-eyed. Whew, my baby girl. So I took her and I put her in my chest. She cries out immediately, and then automatically so calm and peaceful. What's amazing about water births, and I remember with my daughter Vienna, it was like my first home water birth, so you expect them to cry and scream because that's what babies do. And she was just so calm, and I'm like patting her. I'm like, is she okay? Is she okay? I'm like, she's fine, she's fine. This is, you know, because this is how water births are. And she cried out immediately, but then she automatically stopped, and she was just, you know, calm in my arms. And I remember my husband was asking, is she okay? And my midwife was like, yeah, water births are just like very calming. She's totally fine. You know, like they were listening to her heart. Everything was fine. And what was really cute is my kids. The minute she came out, my daughter Vanna was like, hi, in Russian, hi. And then she pulls out her arms and she's like, can I hold her? It was the cutest thing. Like literally, it's like seconds after she comes out, she's like, can I hold her? It was so cute. And my husband's like, she's still kind of connected to mama right now. It was so cute. But my kids were really cute. They were bringing me water. They were petting my head. They were kissing me. They were really good, and I'm happy about that because I was really concerned about them. So after she was born, we delayed the cord, obviously, and then the placenta came out. And once the placenta came out, again, this was different from my daughter's birth, my previous birth. The water started getting really dark, like lots of blood. I started freaking out. Because my water with Vienna was clear, like clear as day. Even when the placenta came out, like a little bit came out, and it was still like almost like very, very light tea color. But here it started getting dark and really fast. And when I look at the footage, I like relive that panic that I had. And my midwives are like, all right, we have to cut the cord and you have to get out of the pool ASAP. And I'm like, there's a picture of me. I'm like, am I dying? Am I dying? What's going on? I was like really scared. So they clamp the cord. My husband cuts the cord. He takes her. They get me out of the pool. I start shaking uncontrollably. It freaks me out. I'm like, why am I shaking? Like, I see the blood. They told me to get out of the pool ASAP because they can't see how much blood I'm losing. I start shaking uncontrollably. I'm like, why? And they're like, you know, sometimes it's hormones, sometimes it's because you're cold. So they got me all dried up, and they put me here in bed on a pad to kind of see, you know, because they couldn't really see in the water anymore because it got really dark. Once I was like dry and under the covers, within 15 minutes, I did stop shaking, so that was good. I did lose a little bit more blood than expected, but nothing too drastic. I did not tear. I had like a small cut from something, but no tears at all. And my midwife told me I was really lucky because sometimes when that hand comes out, like tearing can happen and it's not very pretty. And then they brought her back to me. We nursed for a really long time. I know everybody was kind of hungry at that point, so they went to go eat and left me here, and then they brought me some food. And then everybody was here, and I love this picture. This picture is so perfect because it's just so homey, so warm and loving. They started, you know, doing all her measurements. She was 8 pounds, 2 ounces. I'm so surprised. I definitely thought she was going to weigh more, and obviously I was wrong about everything. I was wrong about when I thought she was going to come and her weight, and I guess it was just me who was fat. And she was born at 40 weeks and 6 days, so almost at 41 weeks. Oh, and her name. We named her Yulia. This birth was a little bit more different, obviously, a little bit more painful. The blood was kind of scary, and I kind of felt like I was hit by a truck right after. I could not get up on my own to go to the bathroom. I had to be walked the first day, which also really scared me because I was like, am I going to need help now? Like, because after I had my daughter Vera, I was like walking around. We went to Walmart that same day. I felt amazing, and this was a lot different. So, and I think it's probably because of the blood loss. I don't know. But she's here. She's healthy. I am feeling, for 1 week postpartum, I'm feeling great, and I feel like she's sleeping pretty well. The first night she didn't really sleep well because my milk didn't come in, but now that my milk is here, we're doing great. So that is my birth story. I finally have it recorded. Thank God. I've had at least one person a day ask me, and I wanted to record it, and I did record it. It was just like a hot mess, the first video, so this one is hopefully a lot more understanding, and I'm not like just blabbing about stuff that I don't know. We will be doing a birth video. We have hours and hours and hours of footage from different cameras, so it's going to take a really long time, I think, to sort through and do the video, but we are going to post it. It might happen in a month or two. Hopefully not longer, and I really want to like make it, edit it, and post it and share it. So we are definitely working, and we're posting a video because I know people are like, are you gonna have a video this time? We are. It's just last time it took 4 days to edit a video, maybe, I think because we didn't have that much footage, but this time we have so much footage to go through. So, but yeah, I am so excited that she's here, and she's so beautiful and so cute, and her brother and her sister adore her, and it's just been newborn, like a newborn honeymoon, and I love it. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you guys have any questions about anything about the birth, feel free to leave them below. I'll answer them, and I can't wait to post the birth video to share with you guys. So thank you. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.